Good morning, everybody. It's your old pal Martin, the Metalhead here. Hope you're going well. I'm just walking to Victoria Coach Station right now after midnight. It's the 22nd of March 2024. I'm heading to Manchester today at 7 AM to get the bus up there, which surprisingly enough only takes 4 and a bit hours. I used to picture it would take roughly 6 hours to get to Manchester because it's 3 to Birmingham. And also it's like 6 hours to get to my dad's hometown in Middlesbrough. So I'm going to Manchester today to do a vlog on where the Bee Gees lived before they immigrated to Australia. Yes, the brothers Barry, Robin and Morris were all born on the Isle of Man in the 1940s. And then their baby brother Andy was born in Manchester around 1958 before the family set sail for Redcliffe in Queensland, Australia. Now, I've been to where Robin and Morris are buried in Tame. I did that 5 years ago. You can find that video on my YouTube channel. But today we're going to go to where it all started. Because before the Bee Gees, the brothers and their neighboring friends, they had a group called the Rattlesnakes. It was a skiffle rock group where I believe, Barry must have been, I think, 12. Yeah, roughly like 12 when he just started the group up with Morris and Robin. Because when you look back in history, right, the Bee Gees, they moved to Australia in 1958, and then they performed in the same year in Australia at it was like a racetrack. And then they made their appearances on Australian TV, like on Bandstand, and they cut out their first album when they were in Australia. Then they eventually moved back to Britain. Now, Barry Gibb, he is the property owner. He bought this house many years ago off on auction, so he's the landlord. And Barry was in town around 2013, where he went back to Manchester. He went to the school him and his brothers went to, and he showed reporters into his house. So it's quite amazing how, it's still around, but I don't really think it really should get a blue plaque until, years go by after Barry passes on. Because there is a green plaque in London to say, oh, the Bee Gees lived a few doors down from where Jimi Hendrix lived. Like, if you Google Helen Hendrix Museum, where Jimi Hendrix lived, a few doors down, there'll be a plaque to say, oh, the Bee Gees lived here. I have been a fan of the Bee Gees all my life, since I was 11, going on 12. That's when I remember hearing songs from Still Waters on Rage and Video Hits. And then the same year, they recorded a live album, One Night Only, in Las Vegas. I was given that live album when I was age 13 on Christmas in 1998. Now, I never got to see the Bee Gees live because my family, we never went out to concerts. I remember saying to Dad, oh, why can't we just get a ticket to see the Bee Gees? They're coming to town. They're playing the Sydney Olympic Stadium, like the same month it opens in 1999. My Dad's like, man, tickets are expensive. Because we never, as family, we never went out to see rock bands, okay? My first concert was Avril Lavigne because my brother took me to see Avril Lavigne. I mean, yeah, I did see puppet shows and Looney Tunes puppets when I was a child. I never saw the Wiggles live, because most Aussie kids will say that their first concert was a Wiggles concert. But yes, we're going to Manchester today to look at where the Bee Gees are called home. Now, I should go to the Isle of Man, because there are so many Bee Gees sites all over the Isle of Man. There's a statue of the Bee Gees there. There's a few plaques that say, oh, the Bee Gees lived in this house and they lived at that house. Because the Bee Gees' parents, Hugh and I'm trying to think. I can't remember the mother Gibb's name. Barbara. Yes, Barbara Gibb. Yeah, it just came back to me. Yeah. You see, they were both Manchurians. They both came from Manchester. But Barry Gibb's grandparents actually came from Paisley in Scotland, and they moved south to Manchester, and then they're buried in the nearby cemetery. Because I remember I was watching a documentary about how Barry and Robin went back to Manchester, and they walked through a cemetery, and I thought, yeah, you know what, this is where Gibbs from Scotland, Gibb, yeah, where like the Gibb clan is buried in Manchester. So it's located in the south of Manchester, a part that I've never really explored. I have been to Manchester twice in my life. I was there last year, see Samantha Fox in the gay village, even though I'm not gay. But then also I went there about 3 years ago, so I could go up to Baycup to do a vlog on Johnny Clegg, and go up to Hebden Stall to visit where Sylvia Plath is buried. But I've never really been a big fan of Manchester. It's just one single transport ticket costs you £3 sterling. Just get that into your head if you don't live in Manchester, or you come to Britain and you want to like look around Manchester. You're just best to buy a day ticket. Maybe it'll cost you, set you back a £5, but you'll be able to get to here, there, everywhere for a £5 or so. But maybe it's probably gone up in like the last few years. So it's gonna be like a long day for me, because I could have actually just gone back home to East London and stuff for a few hours, got up at 5, rushed back off to Victoria Coach Station. But I thought, no, forget it. My office in London is like Westminster. I could walk from there to Victoria Coach Station in under an hour or so, give or take how fast I walk. I'm just walking through the mall right now, heading towards Buckingham Palace. And the bus tickets have cost me 13 quid in total, which is a good price for me, because sometimes when I go to Brum, I would probably pay roughly that amount return. But try taking a train to Manchester for that price. No such luck. I remember hearing a story about how a couple from Manchester, they said it was cheaper to go to Poland or Dublin for the day than it is to go to London. All because of those stupid train fares. Ugh. Britain, fix up your train fares. But I've been here for 7 years. I'm always kind of moaning about it, but I have hacks. I'm going to talk about that later on in another video, about how I can cut the prices in train tickets, okay? So, it's going to be a good day today. I'm pretty sure it's not going to rain. If it's going to rain, I'm not going to be really pissy about it, because I carry an umbrella just like Michael Palin. But yes, it's going to be quite, a nice warm day, I believe. Yes, I'm going to go get some sleep on the bus, and then my bus home is at 6 o'clock tonight from Manchester, and then I'll get home tonight after 11 o'clock, and I got to be back at the office at 11 tomorrow. I've just arrived at Manchester. All the megabus buses, they drop you off at this interchange. Now, I have found out that a day ticket on these trams only costs £3.50, unlike the time I spent £3.50 on a bus here in Manchester 3 years ago. So, I guess maybe these trams are cheaper than the buses. It just depends on where you're going and what you're doing. Yeah, so I've only got under 6 hours to get from here to where the Bee Gees lives in the southern part of Manchester, and I can get there in 24 minutes because of these trains. I mean, not trains, trams. Yeah, yes, the trams. I've never taken any of these in Manchester before, because last time I came here for a proper visit 2 years ago, I simply got a bus to Rockdale. And then I basically, I went to Baker for the day, and I went down to Salford, which is nearby, and Salford's a bit effy, and then I went to Hebden Bridge the next day. So, it shouldn't be too long, although I really do need the toilets. And these toilets at the bus station over there interchange are costing 20p each. What a joke, you pay nothing for that in the capital. So, I'm at Trafford Bar, one stop away from the famous Old Trafford grounds of Manchester United. Just gonna wait for the pink tram line that will take me into town, where the Bee Gees grew up. like a few minutes away. Actually, I could have gotten on that tram that goes direct, but I'm new to Manchester, I don't live here, I don't really know much about the tram, so I'm just a newbie. Well, here I am in Chorlton, similar to Carlton in my country, Australia. It's Chorlton. Bee Gees lived here for a couple of years in the 50s, and during that time they formed the Rattlesnakes, that skiffle rock group, and then the baby brother Andy was born. Yes, because Barry, Robin and Morris were all born on the Isle of Man, and then they eventually settled back into Manchester for a couple of years, where they got their musical start with the Rattlesnakes, before doing the big move to Australia, settling Redcliffe and making a career. Yes. So literally, it's kind of funny that there's so many different connections to the Bee Gees. Like, born on the Isle of Man, they resided in Manchester, they moved to Australia, they started their career in Australia with their first single Spicks and Specks in the 60s, and then they eventually moved back to Britain. Years later, it was Florida. It's kind of funny how, you know, Morris settled in Florida and he died there, but Robin, well, he was an Oxfordshire man, and he lived in Tame for most of his life until he passed away. And also Barry spends most of his time, yes, in Florida, but does have a home in Buckinghamshire. Yes, he has a home in Buckinghamshire. And also, Barry owns the house we're going to visit today. So let's go see it. Just have to get some lunch at Morrison's. Yeah. This is Keppel Rd. We're looking for number 51, just down the street. Now, when I last came to Manchester properly for a visit, I had no idea where the Bee Gees lived. All I had to do was look up on YouTube, Bee Gees home in Manchester, and I came across this report of Barry visiting the property with, I think, Channel 4, the BBC. He was inspecting it because he is the landlord, and the letting agent was basically saying, oh yeah, the chimney had been fixed. So it's quite impressive how Barry Gibb, with all the money in the world he's got, was able to buy back his childhood home and still make, you know, income off it, despite the fact, you know, the millions and millions and millions of dollars and pounds he has in both America and Britain. So the Bee Gees had a really great childhood here around Manchester. I remember hearing reports that I think Morris and Robin would, like, with a little bit of firebugs, you know, that always play games around the corner and, like, you know, hang out with locals. But it was just quite mind-boggling that the family moved to Australia in 1958, because the father, Hugh Gibb, he was a band leader, and that's how he got work in the Isle of Man, and that's how him and Barbara conceived Barry, Robin, and Morris. So, still trying to find, where's our 51? Don't be in for a surprise. There's nothing really special about the property. There's no plaque up there to say this is where the Bee Gees lived, unlike the one in the Isle of Man. But I believe they should probably put a plaque up, because it has been over 20 years since Morris died. And so his passing in 2003 was the end of the Bee Gees, even though years later Barry and Robin reunited for a couple of shows, which didn't go quite well due to Robin's illness with his battle with cancer. So it's just literally, it's just Barry on his own now. 43, 46. Oh, it's a 51 we're looking at. Should be on this side of the house. As a matter of fact, it's even like located on Google Maps saying childhood home of Bee Gees, which I thought was kind of funny. And there's some guy like dancing to Saturday Night Fever, trying to like make his mark. 49, and yes, here we have it. This is number 51, the house the Bee Gees lived in. I really want to be a bit discreet because there's somebody like upstairs. I really thought, oh, they probably see all the amount of Bee Gees fans who comes by every day. I'm like, what are you doing looking at my house? Or yes. Right behind me is Oswald Road Primary School. This is where the Bee Gees went to school. Barry had the honor of visiting his former school when he came to Manchester for a concert in 2013. Brought back a lot of memories, and he was able to point out where he sat in class. I'm not gonna walk around nearby, but that's the school where the Bee Gees went to school.